Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Maria Sampoulos. I'm the founder of Corporate Optometry. And today I have the pleasure of having this panel with me from Johnson & Johnson, the Power Woman panel, to discuss DEI in optometry and all the great things that Johnson & Johnson is doing to advocate for that in our industry. So thank you all for coming on the podcast and discussing your roles and how you guys impact the industry. If you guys can give a brief intro for our listeners that do not know you.
I'm Dr. Charissa Lee. I'm head of the professional affairs for Johnson & Johnson Vision.
And I'm Dr. Christi Closson, and I am the Senior Manager of Professional Education.
And my name is Dr. Mandy Sallach. I'm the Senior Manager of Professional Relations.
Thank you all for joining the panel. I appreciate it. Johnson & Johnson really supported diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives in many forms in our industry. A lot of things that have been highlighted and other things that, just make an impact and we don't know about. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the DEI initiatives at Johnson & Johnson Vision?
Sure. I would love to start off by saying, it's been part of the Johnson & Johnson Vision, or I'll say Johnson & Johnson culture, is to make sure that DE&I is important and embedded within our culture internally within the organization. And that's been happening for decades. So it's always been a part, it's part of our credo in terms of making sure that our employees feel heard and seen within the organization. So it really, of course, got highlighted in the most recent years about the inequities, especially within the healthcare world. So one of the things that we have within J&J is something called our Race to Health Equity. So that just places a spotlight on the healthcare inequities in our communities and the way that Johnson & Johnson as a whole can help that out. Specifically to Johnson & Johnson Vision, we were proud to be the first major healthcare company to sign the 13% promise with Black Eye Care Perspective. And this was just a way to show our externally to our communities and to our customers the importance that we hold DE&I in support of the communities that we serve, and certainly looking at healthcare inequities within the vision care space.
Yeah, it's been great to see these initiatives and the impact that J&J has made, but also to see this panel, DEI is female, with female leaders in the industry making impact and speaking and rising other people, females up. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know there has been in the industry a leadership gap, and a lot of companies are trying to change that, but J&J shows it, and that I think showing it is very important.
Yeah, I think we, I love that. It's nice to talk about, but I'll say we walk that walk. One of the things that we do, again, for our communities and for our doctors is to highlight, I'll say, the opportunity to have these conversations and very candid conversations about challenges. Some of them we have as female, doctors or small business owners and being a woman. And so those are through our diversity in optometry series of events. So we've been having them, over last year, and we'll continue to have them across the US this year. So it just gives I think the audience an opportunity to have these open conversations. Sometimes we might feel like we're the only ones, in the room feeling that. But then when you understand the common problems, it really does allow people to feel heard and seen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other things that we're doing in terms of leadership. But again, happy and proud to be amongst such strong female leaders on this panel too within Johnson & Johnson Vision.
I've had feedback from optometrists throughout the country about these panel discussions that your team has put together. It's been empowering. They love to get other females together in their area, and leadership comes and joins those conversations, and it's nice to interact with females in the industry that are leaders, because a lot of doctors have something to look up to, right? If they want a leadership position, they have someone they can reach out to, find a mentor, connect. And that's been very empowering for a lot of females in the industry. The D&I initiatives in the industry have been amazing. They've done a lot in the industry to change some things like the 13% promise and stuff like that. But I think, the female aspect of DI has not been addressed that well in the industry. And I think J&J has done a great job advocating for that because a lot of females graduate. There's a lot of females graduating. I think it's like 70% class, but the leadership positions are the ones to make a decision are not there. And some people are making decisions for the female employee and there's no voice there or not be able to understand that point of view. And I think that's amazing that, you're taking that initiative to change, that perspective in the industry.
Yeah, I love what you said about that. And I was able to attend one of the events before I worked here as an employee. And I echo what you shared about it being a unique event where we were able to highlight and celebrate some amazing female colleagues of ours. And that aspect of bringing mentors and mentees together is really incredible, really powerful. Because I think when we can come together and help each other and just elevate each other, it's going to make each of us better. It's going to make the profession better. It's going to make our practices stronger for us to take care of patients better. It's just really good overall. And the events really do that in a unique environment, but a very genuine and authentic way. To your point, the topics and questions that we're talking about are not necessarily about contact lenses or about Johnson & Johnson. It's really just about us as female doctors. And now we're expanding the series into other underrepresented groups throughout this year as well. And I think it's just really great that we're able to highlight and celebrate some of the amazing people we have in our profession.
No, that's great. And you inspire people when you do that. I've gone to a lot of different events, even outside with women in optometry things, and you become inspired and get energy and you want to help other people from it after because you've gained so much from it. And it just uplifts our whole profession, right? That we're all here together. We're here to make each other better and just shine a spotlight on some person. Sometimes it's just that really gets them started. And I look back in my career when I first started, and there's been some wonderful women over the years in industry that gave you a chance and gave you that confidence and, really uplifted you. And it's great to see that. And, our industry is changing. I think we have a lot of different obstacles with legislative and all this other things, but I think the power of the female in the industry to kind of help you and move forward to go through things and just discuss like, hey, my kids are little and I'm going through this and just to show that you have. And even like the podcast that I've done with amazing women in optometry, talking about that mom guilt and that thing. And then their kids are older. Their kids turned out fine, right? So at the end of the day, it's okay, And so I'll look back. My kids are a little younger. I'll be like, they're going to turn out fine. If this optometrist mom did well and she's a leader in the industry and made some changes, the kids turned out fine. So it's been nice to be able to have those conversations and kind of, talk to people that kind of went through it.
Absolutely. I feel what you were just touching on is one of my favorite aspects of being in this role and was my favorite part of being in academia too, to be interactive with students and then young ODs and to exactly just highlight the areas that they're not alone. Because I know I felt very alone being a professional and having young children and trying to balance everything and being able to, like you said, elevate all of us and give that kind of community feel that we can lean on each other. It's really important.
Yeah. And you get energy from it too, right? You come back, you get energy positive and to do that. And, a lot of us have a lot on our plates and to get that energy from other people sometimes is great to kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's one of the other things that at Johnson & Johnson we do really well is providing support groups for employees. And I think the employee resource groups that we have of all varieties really help so that each of us can come to work being the person that we are, whether it's a mom or a doctor or whatever role you have, you get to come to work as yourself and feel supported. And I think that translates into how we care for our customers for our ECPs and ultimately for patients, because we feel that inclusive environment ecosystem. And I think we're all inspired to share that outward with as many people as we can as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the saying is, if you see it, you can be it. So it's great to see a panel of female leaders. Can you tell us what else Johnson & Johnson's doing to support females in optometry?
I think there's, again, being able to have that platform with our diversity of optometry series is one. I think you mentioned it before, but also looking for leadership within our industry, right? So we also have a consultant speaker group, and just making sure that there's representation across the United States, different types of practices, different backgrounds, different communities that they serve. So that's another way to make sure that we're highlighting some of the voices. I'll say that our customers, as you know, doctors who prescribe our products and use our services, that they also feel that they're being represented.
No, I think that's a great thing. You know, I've always thought of, you know, DEI too as, you know, doctors in different settings. And I've been an advocate to try to get corporate optometrists on different boards and change some, you know, illustrations in the industry about them. And J&J has been great to have, you know, speakers and have insight from corporate optometrists from different brands, whether it's sublease, employee franchise. And it's been great to see that in the industry as the industry is changing and evolving. And I know that you've had some leaders from that worked in corporate optometry over the years on, you know, as a you know, leader now within J&J. So that's been amazing to see that. And it's been great because, you know, unfortunately, doctors in the sector before never had that kind of exposure. So it's nice to see that you're leading the way and that change is happening for that as well, for the corporate optometrist.
Yeah, absolutely. So our consultant team, to Dr. Lee's point, is super diverse. We have people that are in big cities, LA and New York, to small towns in Kansas and Texas, and 50% female, 50% male, and all different areas, like you were just saying, different retail partners, private groups, you know, kind of everything, so that it does bring light that there are so many optometry options, and that you may change direction throughout your career as well. And that gives our speaker panel the availability to really connect with everyone in a group, because they have that experience that they're bringing forward. So it's been really fun to have that level of diversity.
Great.
And I'll even say that even just on, you know, sitting on this panel, each of us has different backgrounds in the types of practices and the way that we served our profession. So it's, you know, each of us brings a unique flavor of our bringing our backgrounds and how we cared for patients and the way that we served our communities to the table within the leadership at Johnson & Johnson Vision. So proud to share that as well.
Yeah, you should be proud. I mean, you have different journeys come together, you collaborate, you make some good changes in the industry. Pretty wise, and I think. And tell me about some advice that you would give some young female optometrists in the industry.
I think I would say to be confident and know your value. And that can be thought of in a few different ways, but especially in the care that you can give your patients. When you come out of school, you're right, very fresh with your training. You have been learning the latest, greatest things in our profession. So you're trained up to the highest level, and you should be confident in that. And I would say, just to translate that confidence into how you care for patients. Don't be afraid to let your patients know what you can do for them. If you can offer specialty services, if you can do multifocal contacts, if you can treat dry eye, if you can treat disease, anything that you can do, you have to let your patients know that. They don't always know what you can do. It's up to you to share that. And they need you to be their doctor and do that for them. And don't be afraid to know the value of your services and of your expertise. So I think as women, we can sometimes be shy. We don't want to be boastful or pushy or insert whatever negative word you've been conditioned to think about. But it's not a negative thing. I think it's a really good thing. And if you lean into that early in your career, it's going to take you a lot further. So be confident.
Yeah. And sometimes we just need that little push from someone from before to get that confidence, right? I remember the saying, hey, you should do this. And I'm like, really?
Right.
You get that confidence and you just run with it. So it's just having that, support sometimes. And that power from female support has been amazing for me and other women in the industry. What's been another major area of focus for J&J has been driving equity in healthcare through Vision for Good. What does race to health equity and optometry look like for J&J?
Well, I'll just start off by saying, first of all, it's just acknowledging that there are inequities in healthcare, and looking to see what it is that we can do to make sure that we don't have, whether it's, an unconscious bias or what we can do to better educate ourselves about the opportunities to serve our diverse communities. And so our Race to Health Equity, first of all, just shines a spotlight on it. Of course, we're also looking at how we serve that through funding, whether it's continuing education or sponsorships, or looking at ways that we can support these communities that are underserved, as well as educate doctors, nurses, anybody who serves these patient communities, and things like cultural competency. So these are, so specifically within the vision care industry, these are some of the things that we're living into with the 13% promise, which is just making sure, for example, that our patient education materials are in Spanish as well as English, because that's a big part of the communities that we serve within the US. Other things are again, making sure that the communities are aware of the importance of a comprehensive eye exam, because whether or not that, it could be that they don't necessarily trust healthcare professionals, or it could be just that they're not aware that they need to get an eye exam, or even that their children need to get an eye exam. So those are just some of the ways that we're living through our Race to Health Equity.
No, I think that's important too, because that helps our practice. We're getting patients to come see us because they need to see us if they don't have that information. You guys are advocating for us as practitioners to see. And as a business owner, practice owner, there's things that we need to keep up with, culture and up-to-date things. And I think we should be educated on these because we don't know what patients are thinking when they're coming in, right? And we're in our motion. So it's good to have this education to kind of know what people are thinking and how we can change our practices to be better, to be inviting for these patients. And culture, and maybe for our, for staff as well, things that, to have that. If you're in an area where maybe it is high population of Hispanic, maybe, you want to have that, optician to talk to the patient, or hire that doctor. And, but you need to be educated, mindful of it. If sometimes we just go in our emotions and we don't think. So just to think outside the box to, of what our community needs, not necessarily just glasses and contacts. They want to feel comfortable. Like you said, that sometimes they don't feel comfortable. We don't know that, and they don't tell you till after the fact. So I think we still need CE on that, diversity, equity, inclusion for our patients too, and how we can be better practitioners and, differentiate ourselves in an industry where there is a lot of noise, unfortunately, and they're getting information from other aspects of the industry and or online. So I think that's a very powerful message to the practitioners out there to really pay attention to that for our patients. Because again, all the initiatives that you've done for DEI is beyond just contact lenses, right? It's making the practitioner better. It's better for the community. It's better for our profession. And the impact is immeasurable. You can't measure that, but it's making a big difference. I think a lot. And when just talking to ECPs in general, sometimes you make an impact and you don't even know. right?
Yes.
Thing you make an impact. So I know that, currently you have about 13.4% of the population identifies as Black or African American, but only 1.8% practicing optometrists are African Americans. I know you at J&J signed the 13% promise. Is there other organizations that you're working with optometry to help African Americans as optometrists?
Yeah, so we're proud to be a sponsor of ASCO, so the Association of Schools and Colleges of Optometry, certainly thinking about how we can get really qualified candidates to apply to become optometrists, because we all know what a great profession it is. And so part of it is awareness. So their campaign, which is called Optometry Gives Me Life, we're a proud supporter, which, reaches out into the communities of mostly college students, but it could be even high school students, to say, hey, have you ever thought about optometry as a career? Because some people just are not aware of that optometry can be a career for them, even though they have interest in the medical field. Another thing that we've done with ASCO is partnering with them with their diversity series and their Eyes on Diversity series. So if you go to their website, they have a multitude of videos of speakers outside of our eye care industry who are experts in this area, and also training for staff. It's not just for faculty and students. They have a wealth of information to help us, again, better serve our communities and our patients, and be able to see them as an individual and who they are within our practices.
Excellent. Is J&J working with NOA as well? And I know that's a big organization in the industry as well. So
yes, we are a proud sponsor of the NOA, and one of our big diversity and optometry events will be happening at their meeting coming up in July. So we're excited for that, as well as partnering in key cities where, again, we can raise the awareness of optometry as a profession, looking at HBCUs and making sure those students are also aware.
That's amazing, because it's like you're partnering with a lot of different organizations. A lot of different organizations have a lot of positive impact, little touch points. So you're trying to touch everybody from all these different organizations, and even taking initiatives with your own self to, reach out to, pre-optometry students and things like that. So I think it's amazing to be able to help change and reframe our industry and bring up leaders and encourage people to do more in our industry. So I find that very inspiring, and thank you so much for all you do. I mean, I think a lot of things that you do are under the radar, and I think it helps our profession. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.